Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Fat Loss in 15 series. And in the last episode, I said I think I was messing about or going to change the name because we don't focus on fat loss so much, but I had to think about it. And then it became apparent to me that that is not actually true. And it's something that we've always taught, but I've never really phrased it this way. What people are actually chasing isn't the fat loss. It's the confidence and the empowerment that comes off the back of that. So by moving away from fat loss, we're kind of doing ourselves a disservice because our goal is to help people be strong, to help people be fit, to help people feel comfortable and confident and capable in their own body. And more often than not, that is because the fat loss is not the end goal. The fat loss is a vehicle to get them from low confidence and not feeling like themselves, not feeling happy in how they look, happy in how they feel, happy in the clothes they're wearing, to where they want to be, which is that happy, healthy, fit and confident version of themselves. So I've decided to just keep the name because it's easy to say. We've been using it for a long time and I'm just going to roll with it. So next bit I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to keep referring back to my iPad here because normally I just let myself ramble and sometimes it turns into too much of a ramble and I don't actually get the point across. And I get this from my mum. I always say to her, she's always burying the lead. When she's telling a story, she's off on this tangent like I'm doing right now. So what typically people do for fat loss when they're trying to use fat loss as the outcome instead of the vehicle is they cut calories. They cut out their favourite foods. They cut out their social life. They cut out all pleasure in life. And then they do the exact opposite with their training. They do more steps. They do more cardio. They do more workouts. They do more HIIT. They do more while fueling themselves less, and less, which creates a bit of a contradiction. And all that happens is you burn out. You feel so desperately unhappy throughout that period and you get nowhere. You get short-term results. You realise you've been hating it for the last 4 to 6 weeks. And then you reset and you go back to square one. You stop training. You stop doing your steps. You start eating more food and then you binge and you just do everything that you've been restricting from yourselves over the last 4 to 6 weeks. And then you wonder why you go through this same cycle, this same motion every single 6 months. So today we're here to guide you on how to stop that and how we show our clients to do it properly. So number 1, focus on getting stronger, not smaller. When you come to the gym, you're coming to build, not burn. And this is something you've probably heard me say before, and I will say it again and again, and it is a hill that I will die on. The gym is not for burning. You're not here to burn as many calories as possible. You're not here to absolutely smash yourself into the ground. You're not here to sweat as much as possible. And that's why sweatsuits are the most retarded things I've ever heard of. Or, probably shouldn't say the word retarded. Probably the most stupid things that I've ever heard of. You're using the gym to build your strength by getting stronger 1 week. You're here to build your fitness so that you can recover faster. So you've got a healthier cardiovascular system, so your lungs work, so your heart works. You're here to improve your ability to move so your joints aren't constantly sore, so your tendons and ligaments are feeling great. You're here to build your body so it has the shape, so it has the strength, so it has the ability to get through life, especially as you're getting a wee bit older, without all the aches and pains that most modern day humans are dealing with. So there's point number 1. The gym is for building, not burning. If you're using it to burn as many calories as possible, you're going about it in the wrong way. Number 2, you should be eating to support your training, to support your life, not to punish it. That clashing, it doesn't work. All it does is, as I said a minute ago, it leaves you depressed, it leaves you feeling like you're doing something wrong, and it leaves you tired. Yes, on most fat loss journeys, you should get used to being hungry because that's just part of it, but it doesn't need to be so all-consuming. You can still eat great, healthy meals and feel good, because if you're eating well and you're eating a lot of the right stuff, it's very difficult to overeat. But what it also does is it enhances your performance in the gym. So if you're eating the right stuff, you feel better. And then when you're feeling better, you're training harder. And then when you're training harder, you're getting more out of your sessions, your performance is increasing. So it's just like a positive spiral. And it's the exact opposite if you do the other thing. If you're eating less, your performance suffers. And because your performance suffers, you're not lifting as much weight. So you're not building that strong, healthy body. You're actually just breaking yourself down and you're resenting the process. So again, we're here to build. You've got to nourish. And then you have to be consistent with it. And then number 3, and I think this is a really important one, and it leads on quite nicely from the building over burning. You do not need to train every single day. In fact, that's actually going to be to your detriment. We call it the minimum effective dose, or what we like to call the Goldilocks zone. So training 3 to 5 sessions per week is enough. What we get our clients to do more often than not is to do 3 to 4 full body strength training sessions, If they then want to do some conditioning, they can throw that in. If they want to be a bit fitter, they'll maybe do 3 full body strengths and 2 conditions. If they want to move better, they come to movement so they can increase their mobility. If they want to be stronger, they focus on strength more than a lift. If they want to build more muscle, they come to lift. But what you should be doing is doing 3, 4, or maybe 5 sessions per week, focused on what you want to achieve. And then the goal is to be 80% consistent every single week instead of 100% on plan sporadically. I would rather you hit 3 sessions every single week for 12 weeks than 5 session one week, none the next. 6 session one week, one the next. You want to be consistent and you want to progress. You want to add more weight. You want to add more reps. You want to do a little bit more than the previous week. Because if you add 2.5 kilos to your, let's say, your deadlift every 2 weeks for 12 weeks, that's a huge amount of weight added on. What was that, 15 kilos? And there's absolutely no way your body is not adapted to that. It's stronger, it's healthier, and you're going to have more muscle mass, which is where your shape comes from. Number 4, non-negotiables over motivation. And this is something we're doing in our 6-week accountability sprint right now. And that is focusing on just 3 simple things, 3 non-negotiables that you hit every single day. And that is it. You don't need to be motivated. You do it on the good days, you do it on the bad days, you do it on the indifferent days. And what we're actually just focused on is your training. Obviously that's 3 to 5 times a week, so it's not always a yes. Your step count, which is 8K steps every day, absolutely manageable. And number 3 is 3 protein feeds every single day. And that's it. Every morning, they get a prompt. Every evening, they get a check-in. And the goal is to fill that check-in in every single day and score it out of 3. And then at the end of the week, we tally it up. And if you've hit 80% numbers and your non-training days and rest days count as a yes as well, even for the training, because it has to be planned. And the whole point is to be planned. We're setting these baseline standards and we're sticking to them. You're holding yourself to a higher standard and you have a group around you who's helping you do that because you're being inspired. You're seeing the people around you do the same things, go through the same struggles, and then overcome them. And you can do it in a community together. So you've got to set those baseline standards. So on the bad days, you have your baseline. Can't remember who said it. I want to say it was like Archimedes says, you do not rise to the level you're training, but you fall. No, you don't. I can't remember the saying off the top of my head, but something along the lines of you fall to the level of your training and your standards. And that is what we're absolutely doing. Okay. And then moving on to the 5th one and final point, which ties in very nicely what we said. And that is someone to support you and hold you accountable. We always say there's the 3 layers of accountability. Layer number 1, and that is doing your self-accountability, and that's doing what you said you'd do. And that all sounds great and dandy, but it's really difficult to stick to, especially if you have kids, you have a busy career, you have a social life, because it's so easy for one bad day at work, something goes wrong, you get stuck in traffic, you just have a shitty day, or your kids call in sick, or you end up in A&E, or your car breaks down, or you end up just getting drunk at the weekend, you have a really bad hangover. It's so easy for one bad day to turn into a week off, to turn into 3 months, to turn into a year where you're actually further away from your goals than when you were when you started. And that's really disheartening because you feel like you're putting your all into it. And I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you can resonate because every single person will have done it. You will have talked yourself out of going to the gym. I don't feel like going today. You have talked yourself out of eating the healthy meal you had in the fridge. You'll get a takeaway instead. And because you don't have a second or third layer of accountability, it's so easy to lie to yourself and let yourself down. But it's so much harder to let other people down, which brings me on to layer number 2. And that is having a coach. So having somebody to check in on you, somebody to lean your head on, lean your head on their shoulder when life gets difficult. Somebody who's just there to answer your questions when you're feeling stuck. And it's so much harder to let a coach down, especially if you paid for it, because you've got skin in the game. So having that second layer makes a huge difference, but it's the 3rd layer that is really important. And that is your accountability to your training partners and the friends in the gym. So imagine this, you're driving home from work after a shitty day, you're booked in for a class. Option 1, you're just training by yourself. Sorry, ignore the class bit. Option 1, you're just training by yourself. You don't feel like going today. You've got a difficult leg session. So you go, I don't need to do it today. I'm going to go home, I'm going to sit on the couch, I'm going to watch Netflix, I'm going to get a takeaway. Or you've got option 2, you're booked in for a class. Your training partners are going to be there. Your success coach is going to be there. And you don't want to let them down because they will be checking up on you to see how you are. And it's almost like friendly peer pressure. And the difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2 there is huge because over a long period of time, over 12 weeks, that's going to happen more frequently than you think. And those numbers start to add up. I know person option 2 or scenario 2 is way more likely to go to the gym. So instead of having to deal with only your self-discipline, you have the accountability to your coach and then you have the social accountability. And that is what keeps you coming back consistently enough for long enough to get the results you're actually looking for, and without constantly doubting yourself. Because the issue with option one isn't your lack of willpower or discipline, it's the lack of support around you, essentially, the lack of accountability. It is not you, it is the system you're trying to follow. So now we're going to move on to some actual action steps and practical action steps that you can take away from this right now. And I would recommend, don't think about it, don't put it off tomorrow, apply these right now. Pick one lift you want to improve over the next 8 weeks. This is your focus on getting stronger. It could be squats, it could be deadlifts, it could be bench, it could be overhead press. I normally go for 2, but let's just pick one, keep it simple and go for it. Number 2, pick a realistic protein target. Normally 1 to 1.5 times your body weight is absolutely spot on. So if you weigh 80 kilos, 80 grams, or 120, if you're really going for it, you go double. So that would be 160 grams per day, and try and get as close to it as you can. Number 3, book your next 3 sessions into your calendar right now. Make it a non-negotiable. Make it something that you're not going to skip, and do it. 4, if weighing yourself daily messes with your head, stop doing it. Focus on performance over weighing. I know it works for some people, it works for a lot of people, but it also triggers a lot of people. So you've got to get your expectations around that. And number 5, decide if your goal is fat loss or confidence. If it is confidence, focus on building strength first. The fat loss will happen when you start taking care of your habits. These shifts will change your mindset, will change your ability to actually stick to it long term, and more importantly, stick to it consistently for the long term. So here's the truth. You're not wanting fat loss, you're wanting the end goal of the fat loss, the confidence, the empowerment, how it makes you look, how it makes you feel, the status it shows to your friends and family around you. So if your goal is that, and have a think about it, are you actually aiming for the status after the fat loss or the fat loss itself? Because I think for 99% of the people, it will be the former. You need to flip your mindset. Hopefully this stuff helped. You've got some actionable steps today. Don't put it off. Just go, get it done. And I'll see you in the next video.